Hello, once again, and welcome into another edition of Get Me The Brandy. Alongside the voice of the Pittsburgh Penguins, Josh Getzoff, I'm Dan Potash. Josh, good of you to join us once again. How are you?
Great, Dan. Great to be with you again. Looking forward to some more Penguins talk. And we got some special guests joining us today, so it'll be even more fun than usual.
That's right. Let's cut straight to the chase. Joining us from Michigan, where he has skipped class, wink, wink, to join us for a little conversation this morning, Will Horcoff, who, of course, was drafted by the Penguins 24th overall in the 2025 draft. Will, thank you so much for joining us, buddy.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Again, I just want to get right to it because it's been something that's been fun to watch. In addition to the Penguins, really a great start here in Pittsburgh. What you're doing at Michigan has been phenomenal to watch. Every time I blink, you score another goal. So let's just put it right on the table. How do you feel about the start? What's behind it? How excited has it been to get off to the kind of start that you have so far this year?
I think it's exciting because as a team we started pretty good. We're 11-3 right now, and I just really like how we're playing together. Um, we have Ohio State this weekend, and Michigan versus Ohio State's a big rivalry, so we're just getting ready for that, and super excited to play them at Yost.
Well, it's been a busy, let's go back, I don't even know, probably 5, 6 months for you. I mean, you go all the way back to playing at U18s of the World Championships for Team USA. You roll into the combine, you roll into the draft, you first round pick, then you get the development camp. I'm sure that your head was spinning a bit there. I mean, that was a busy stretch, but when you look back on it, do you feel like that kind of 4 or 5 month stretch really set the table for what you're doing at Michigan right now? Because I know you saw a little bit of action with the Wolverines last year, but it just seems like something's clicked for you here this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think even though I had like a really busy summer, I think I went through a ton of learning experiences and I learned a ton in preparation for the season. Um, I also think I took advantage of the time I had like in the weight room and I put a lot of weight on in strength. And I feel like that's one thing I've noticed a big difference in this year compared to last year is my strength, like in my skating and just kind of puck protection down low. And I found like, it's kind of easier to do those things. So.
During training camp, Jason Spezza called you a rink rat, and you just talked a little bit about what you worked on. So, are you one of those individuals that you're like the last kid out of the pool? Like, let's go. You've been in the pool for like 2 hours. Your skin's going to prune up. Get out. Is it just one of those situations where you're first one on, last one off, and that's part of the routine?
Yeah, definitely. Like the one of my favorite things about here is the ice is always available to us. So I really like to take advantage of that. And sometimes if I have a gap between classes in the morning or I don't have class in the morning, which are some days I like to hop on the ice and sometimes work on power skating, sometimes I work on skills, and I'll bring a couple buddies out, a couple teammates, and help them get better too. So that's one really nice advantage about the university here is the ice is always available to us, and I try to take advantage of that.
Dan will mention Jason Spezza. I'm just curious, when you're there at Michigan right now, obviously Coach Naranto's got you guys, off to a great start. You mentioned how you guys are doing in a big showdown this weekend against Ohio State, but is there a constant communication between him, you, the Penguins, or is it kind of they're letting you and Michigan do your own thing and they'll touch base when they need to?
I talk more with Tom Kostopoulos, player
Okay.
development, and I actually just talked with Jason Martin, the strength coach as well. They're just doing a great job of checking in with me, making sure things are going on here, like running smoothly. And they
Mhm.
liked how things are going here, so I'm gonna continue to do just what I've been doing here. We have a ton of really valuable resources here, and I like to use all of them. So they're happy with where I'm at.
I want to stay with the communication for a moment. And I understand that, your dad, Sean, who played in the National Hockey League, is now in the front office, if you will, hockey ops with the Red Wings. You're always going to talk to your parents. But when it comes to hockey, what's that communication like now, considering you're playing in your sophomore season in college? You were drafted by the Penguins. Does he call you with critiques? Do you call him with questions? How often does that happen? When does it happen?
Yeah, all of the above every day, honestly. Like we're we're both obsessed with hockey and like we love watching hockey and he's watched like every single game my entire life of mine, actually. So we love, to watch video together. Like that's something we do, once a week, just on the weekend games. And, he likes to critique what I do and just give me things to work on that week so I can make sure it's better than the next games the next weekend. So I'm super thankful for him.
Well, one of the cooler things that I think, Dan and I have been able to see over the years with the Penguins is, people have kids and these kids love being around their dads and love being at the rink with their dads. And, you mentioned your dad, obviously over 1,000 games and a really long career in the NHL. Do you have any memories, when you were growing up, going to the rink, whether it was in Edmonton, whether it was in Dallas, if there was a spot or a moment where you were kind of, you were the kid on the ice with some of these big name NHL players, just kind of screwing around, whatever you were doing earlier on to kind of develop that love for the game?
Definitely. Like it was more Dallas. I feel like that's when I went to a lot of the practices.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually good buddies with Blake Fiddler then as well. He
Okay.
was a second round pick to Seattle this past year. Both our dads played on that Stars team, and we kind of hang out in the locker room. And honestly, just like the biggest thing I took away was just watching like how much work each player put in and how much like extra they would do. Like yeah, they'd have team practice, but then after that they'd be in the gym working on mobility, or they'd go on the ice by themselves and work on power skating. Like they all wanted it so bad, and just seeing their love for the game, it really inspired me and kind of modeled my work ethic around that.
Yeah, yeah. Get into more detail, if you may, about your work ethic, because you're a full time student, and in essence, you're a full time athlete. How do you find that? How do you find that balance? Like, I think it's important that you're. I would think that you feel it's important to have
Mhm.
complete 100% attention and focus on both. How do you do that?
You really have to manage your time well. That's one thing I've learned, especially coming early to college last year. Is just time management. Like with school and then practice, like your days are long. Like you're done at 7 p.m. And if you want to get all the extra work in, you have to make sure you're managing your time, doing your homework early, and getting all your work done. So you can put that extra work in during the week. So that's one kind of trait that I always had like growing up, but I really had to dial in when I came here.
I was going to say, I feel like I remember reading that you were pretty good academically. Like you were a pretty good student when you were growing up. I mean, who harped on that with you? Because I would say dad probably obviously had a lot to do with the hockey, and I'm sure with the academics. But did mom have a little bit more influence on you maybe growing the brain a little bit in between the skating sessions and the hockey games?
Oh, way to put him on the spot,
Honestly,
Josh. Nice.
yeah. Honestly, mom and dad both
First
had
of many.
equal influence on academics and equal influence on hockey.
Okay.
Like my mom met my dad in college, so she was with him through his whole career, and she honestly knows a lot about the sport. So she's also another person I like to look to, like for advice or stuff after games. But yeah, they've like my academics are super important to me, and they were kind of big on that, like growing up, and I'm glad they were because I thought it helped me on and off the ice.
You talked about your dad watching a lot of your games and things you discussed. When do you remember first watching his games? And did he tell you at all about his stops in Pittsburgh and any memorable games or moments that he had while he played the Penguins? Or any moments at all that really stood out that he shared with you over time?
Um, I like to go to the first question just as early as I can remember, like 4 or 5, just going to Edmonton games, and being in the Wise Lounge as a really young kid. We went to games all the time there. That was a really cool atmosphere. Like the fans are pretty crazy there, so those are fun games to go to. And yeah, I do know that his only hat trick ever, I believe, was against the Penguins. I think that's what you're thinking of. Yeah.
Well, now I'm not going to stop. Let
Go
me
Dan.
put you
Go
on pause
Dan.
for a moment.
Yep.
That particular game is a big one in Penguins history for a lot of fans. The
Oh,
Oilers
really?
had their way with the Penguins in that game, and after the
Mhm.
game, head coach Michel Therrien had a I don't know, Josh. What would the right word be?
I'd
Special
say like
post game
a
interview.
legendary post game rant. Legendary. Yeah. It's still
Legendary.
today in Pittsburgh is popular. Yeah.
So, with your father having scored the HT in that game, did
Mhm.
I wonder if he ever shared that with you? If you ever talked about it? If you ever heard about it since you became a member of the Penguins? Again, It's a moment we can look back and laugh on now, but that particular night, well, maybe some fans may have laughed considering the way the press conference went. As Josh said, legendary moment.
Yeah, I honestly don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
He's never really filled me in on it. No,
Here,
what
Google
happened?
Will. When we're finished this interview, Google Michelle Terrien Soff, Soff. You'll find the legendary press conference.
Okay, I
It's great.
will.
And it's right after your dad's hat
Okay,
trick.
I will.
Hey, I wanted to ask you about your dad. I know we talked a little bit about your dad, and we're talking about you too. I get it. I'm sure as a son of an NHLer, you're kind of like, guys, like enough with the dad talk. I've heard a lot of it my whole life. But I have to ask you about this weird family dynamic because you mentioned your mom and dad met, and I was going to ask you about that at school. Problem is, they went to school at Michigan State, and you are a Wolverine. So, like, how is this
Oh,
working? Because we work with a girl who you will get to know very well, Michelle Crecchiolo, and she's a proud Michigan State Spartan. When I told her we were talking to you, she told me to pass along "Go Green," which I don't know what your response to that would be. Probably not something we can share on a public podcast.
probably
But at the same
go
time,
blue.
yeah, I'm just curious how it works with your family dynamic because you got both ends of the rivalry spectrum there with the state of Michigan.
Yeah, like I get asked this all the time, and honestly, it's nothing big. Michigan State was one of my final kind of colleges that I narrowed it down to. When I was making that decision, like they have a really good hockey program over there. But like at the end of the day, I just went with where I thought was right in my heart, and I really like Coach Narado's development plan he had in place for me. And my dad and mom respected that, and they wanted to go where I thought was best. So we don't really have any conflicts like when I play Michigan State or anything. Just my dad won't wear anything block M. He said until we win a national championship. So we got to do that before he wears the block M.
Talking about rivalries and Michigan State, and cool moments. Again, just looking at what you've been able to do in your very short career at Michigan, your first game there was an outdoor game at Wrigley Field. You talk about having the opportunity to play college hockey at one of the most prestigious programs in the country, but then you do so at one of the greatest baseball ballparks that continues to be so special for so many reasons with baseball, but you play hockey there. What was it like?
Yeah, that was a day like I'll never forget. It was just insane. Like it all flew by really quick. Like just we got dressed in the Cubs locker room as well. Like that was incredible. Like being down there, like it was one of the biggest locker rooms I've ever seen. Um, and just walking out like through the dugout and onto the ice, like it was honestly a moment I'll never forget. And it was Michigan versus Ohio State. Like just doesn't get any better than that. So wish we could have came up with a win at the end of the day, but it was truly a special moment.
I want to jump to another special moment for you in the not too distant past, back in June, when you get drafted in the first round by the Pittsburgh Penguins. Could you take us through how that all went down? I mean, obviously the Penguins make a trade. They acquire that pick that they ended up using to take you. Did you have any inclination? I mean, when you look back on it now, did you feel like this could potentially be my spot, or were the Penguins, Wes Clark and Kyle Dubas and Spezza and that whole crew, were they pretty coy with you when they with the days leading up to the draft?
I mean, yeah, like the only time I talked to him leading up to the draft was the combine, really.
Mhm.
And I had a double interview with the team there, so I knew they were maybe interested. And I knew it was a possibility. And I was honestly really hoping they picked me. Like, I really like how they run things. I really like the whole management, and obviously just the Stanley Cup winning franchise that the Penguins are. So when they made that trade, I was crossing my fingers, and then when they said my name, I was super excited and happy, and happy to be a Penguin.
Hey, Will, staying with the draft for a moment and the level of excitement that you had, what has it been like to watch someone else, your fellow teammate, if you will, or soon to be, in Ben Kindle, do what he's done, making the team, having success? How much have you enjoyed watching that? And at the same time, does it help motivate you, knowing like, hey, I want to get to that level as soon as I can as well?
Yeah, I mean, I'm super happy for him. Just watching what he's been doing. Like he's playing with Crosby now, I think, and I'm just seeing what he's doing like on the power play. Like it's super special. And then like wish him the best in the world, and it's kind of super cool to see what he's doing. And yeah, I guess I guess it does motivate me. It's not gonna change how I approach every day, but just seeing what he does, like it's super cool, and I wish him the best. And the team's rolling, so I'm happy.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch him. Do you guys, are you, they're all your, I don't want to call you guys prospects because you're kind of a mix of where you're all at in your career, but are the Kindles, the Bill Zonins, the Will Horcoffs, are you guys on a text thread kind of finding out what each other's doing, or is this Instagram DMs? What's going on between you guys to keep in touch throughout the course of the year?
Yeah, just a little bit on Snapchat. That's kind of what
Okay, all right.
we communicate through a little bit. But I know Ben just got Instagram, so he just got that for the first time and put his
So
first post up.
you
So
can confirm that. So you can confirm that because there was all this talk about no social
there
media
was,
for Ben Kindle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I think there's a bunch of like fake accounts too, but I think he finally put one up. I
All right.
think I could
I'll
be
have to
wrong.
look
I don't
that
know. Yeah.
Hey, so outside of spending time with your now two favorite broadcasters, Dan and Josh, doing a podcast, what else does Will do with his free time? If you have any free time, how do you have fun?
Like honestly, that's the thing. If I have free time, like days are full here. We go to class all morning, then you go right to the rink, and when you're done with practice, it's 6 o'clock. So like then you have like schoolwork or but like when I do have free time, like I have three roommates. I live with Dakota Rayon Mullen, Michael Haig, and Miles Gus. They're all on the team. And then we're right next door to another house full of four other guys. And then right across the street from us, there's seven guys. So we're all super close. And, if we ever do have time, we like to hang out together. And, sometimes when it's warm, we definitely golf a lot, especially during spring term. We have the Michigan golf course here. So that's super easy access. So that's usually what we do. But during the year, it's more just, hockey and school and just kind of resting for the weekend, watching movies.
And Will, you mentioned us before we started that you're seeing a little snow in Ann Arbor now. So it's pretty much that time of year. We're a week away from Thanksgiving. Christmas is around the corner. And right after Christmas is personally from a fan of hockey, my favorite times of year, the World Junior Championships. And I'm sure for you and a lot of players growing up, it's also huge. I'm just curious, obviously we're not looking for you to say you're on the team, you're staking your claim to the team, but you did play for the U.S. and the U18s back in April and May. Generally, the start you've had, I think, would very much put you on the U.S. radar. But what are your thoughts on that tournament? And if you do get tapped to be on Team USA, what would it mean to you to be able to compete in that?
Yeah, it would just be an absolute honor. Like anytime I get to represent my country, I try to do it with pride because it's just an absolute honor and blessing, and I'm just super thankful for it. And like the tournament's something I've watched like the past 7 or 8 years. Like I remember watching McDavid when he was there. It's something I look forward to watching every year, and if I get the chance to play in it, that would just be a blessing, and I'd be super thankful, and I try to make the most of it.
Not because I'm always thinking about food. I'm not. But getting back to your living arrangement, who does the cooking?
Definitely Miles Gus. He's more of the chef. We all can cook a little bit, but he's definitely kind of the master in the kitchen. Like he made us some really good pasta last night.
Okay, when you say you
Really?
all have
Okay.
done a little cooking, I need to know what's your dish, and you can't say like mac and cheese or soup. Like
Scrambled
what
eggs.
have you prepared for the guys?
Uh, I'm not the biggest chef, but like I'm kind of like a steak. That's my main thing. Just kind of good old ribeye. Like I season it pretty good and medium rare temp. It's kind of one thing I learned coming into the house this year in college is how to make a good steak.
Really, Josh? I hear dinner plans coming.
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, you could always do what I used to do in college, and Uber Eats didn't really exist then, but it would just be to get takeout and distract people with a movie, and then say that I made it after the fact, after putting it on the table. So if
Yeah,
you wanted to go that route, you could do that too.
yeah, that
What's your favorite kind of
sounds like a
steak?
good option.
Go ahead, Dan. Sorry.
What's your? I'm sorry, I jumped the gun there. What's your favorite steak?
Probably New York strip. say that's my favorite. They're all good though. I like them all.
What's like
Nice.
so in Pittsburgh we have, I'm sure you either heard about it this summer or have been told about it. There's, the Permane Brothers sandwich with the coleslaw and the fries, and it's an acquired taste, and some people like it after a long night out. Some people like it for breakfast. Some people like it for lunch or dinner. It's kind of pick your poison with it, and it can be poison at times. But for you in Ann Arbor, what's something that's unique to that area that you've gotten to really enjoy? That if I was going to come to Ann Arbor to watch the Wolverines, I have to have this when I'm in town.
Honestly, like there's not like a unique food here.
Okay.
I'm trying to think. I mean, there's like really good restaurants. Like Chop House is a steakhouse that me and a lot of the boys like to go to every now and then. Like that's, I think, the best spot in the city. So I'd say go there. But there's not really like a unique food or something
Okay.
in the city.
I'm sure now that when your parents watch this interview, they'll say, "Well, there's plenty of great spots to eat around Michigan State." Just saying. Just kidding. Just kidding. Hey, Will, thank you so much for taking time. I know, again, being a full-time student and a full-time athlete, you've got lots on your plate, including steak. But thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. And I know I speak for a lot of Penguin fans. It's been so much fun to watch the start you've had with the Wolverines, and both. We obviously can continue to look forward to many more great opportunities, and looking forward to seeing you here in the not too distant future.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Here, we don't just watch the Penguins. We live every tipped puck.
Unbelievable.
Every battle.
Give me more of this.
Every new prospect.
This is a glimpse of the future.
Everything you love about the Pens, we do too.
I'm down here between the benches.
You know what that means, Pens fans?
Cheers for that.
The front, did they score?
We manifested it.
Stream the Penguins all season long on SNP 360.
All right, welcome back. And once again, our thanks to Will Horcoff, who I had a chance to speak to for quite some time there. Josh, great kid. I look forward to seeing what he continues to do in the not too distant future.
Yeah, he was awesome. And I mean, he mentioned his stats, Dan, and just lighting it up in Michigan right now. And the start that he's had, it's been fun to watch it. I didn't want to ask him about this because guys are so particular about how they're playing, but he started great in non-conference games, and now he's rolled into conference games in the Big Ten and continued to explode. And that's, with Gavin McKenna at Penn State now widely considered one of the top conferences, if not the top conference in college hockey. So I think it's been fun to watch. And man, all these young kids are giving us reason to be excited. So no doubt he's been a lot of fun to follow, and it was great talking with him.
All right, let's talk about another level of excitement. And you were just 2 days back from a week-long stop in Stockholm, Sweden for the Global Series, which the Penguins played against the Predators. They split the series, 3 or 4 possible points. I know the first game was just 70 seconds away from also being a 2-pointer for the Penguins. But again, a lot to do in a short amount of time. I enjoyed my stop there in 2008, but I had a few more days than you did. Let me hear all about it. I want to empty the photo album. What do you got for me? How much did you enjoy that?
Yeah, I put a post on Instagram, and I think I put 11 photos in it, and I had to really be picky. Like it was hard to narrow it down because, first of all, what an incredible opportunity. First of all, like just the Penguins being selected for it, us having the opportunity to go over there, have the chance to call the game for the world feed and be in the building, and that none of that's lost on me how lucky we all are. And I know you did it in 2008, like you said, Dan. Like it's something that people say, oh, it comes with the job. Yeah, it does, but that kind of stuff is unique even to the job. So we're really lucky and grateful that the Penguins were picked for it, that we were part of it, and to get to go over there and experience it was, I mean, I think probably, I don't know, unless I have some unforeseen trip to Stockholm in my future, the only time in my life that I'll be heading that direction. And it was so awesome and so memorable. The first of all, the thing that jumps out to me is the city itself and Europe in general. I hadn't been there since 2017. My wife Maddie and I went over to Italy and Greece when we got married on our honeymoon, And that was the last time
Oh,
I was in Europe until this past trip to Sweden. And the thing that you don't realize until you're over there is how much of a baby the United States is with history. Like, we think our history here is great and unique, and you walk over there and the cobblestone streets, the buildings built in 1500. I went and saw the Vasa, the old warship from the Viking Age that's from 1600 something, that was 90% intact when they unearthed it from the Baltic Sea, however many years ago. I saw the Viking Museum with stuff and remnants from Vikings back in the Nordic times, and just seeing how they lived and reading and learning and watching videos about how they operated in their museum in such a different world. And the food out there is different, but awesome. The Swedish crepes, holy, I I
oh,
uh,
I forgot about
I
them.
had my fair share.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
were
that's
like the most addicting thing, Dan. Like, we got there the first day. It was practice day. They had brought in breakfast, and the players, they ate what they ate, and then they went on the ice. And we got a message saying, "Hey, if you guys want to come down, because we hadn't really eaten much, help yourself." And I came down, and Courtney Gordon, one of the nutritionists for the team, was down there, and she said, "You have to try these pancakes." And I'm like, okay, like, whatever. I'm hungry. If you would have said you have to try this cow's ear, I'd be like, sure, I'm hungry. That sounds good. But it
what?
was pancakes. I don't know what kind of voodoo was in these Swedish pancakes, but I had
Yeah.
one, and then I had two, and then I had three, and then I had four. And then every single day that I was out there, I was just loading them on my plate. And now I've come back here and I'm like, it's not the same. Can't, no disrespect to Bizquick, but it ain't Swedish pancakes. That's a big highlight for me. Those were really good. All the food was good. The seafood was incredible. Old Town was beautiful. I could go on and on and on, but it was just an incredible experience, and really, really lucky to have been able to experience it.
Something that's also probably not the same after all those pancakes. The snugness of your suits, right?
Yes, true. Actually, yeah, I stepped on the scale, and despite walking like a million steps over the course
Yeah,
of
it's a good
5 days,
walking city.
I packed
Yeah,
on a few. So, hey,
that's all
whatever. It
right.
was once in a lifetime, right? Eat what you can and while you can.
So, we always hear about, everybody's a coffee drinker, right? Everybody loves coffee, morning, noon, night, whatever it is. But fika and the way they have coffee and Danish, and they gather to have a talk, it's like a different level of coffee and entertainment, if you will, or getting together. What did you? First of all, how's the coffee? How's the Danish? What was your experience like with fika?
Both A plus, really good. I would say I'm a coffee drinker. I'm not a coffee snob. I have my preferences, but I'm pretty flexible. Like, I'm not somebody who, if it's this coffee shop or that coffee shop, I have to have it from one particular coffee shop. I'm pretty boring with my order. I don't generally just do black coffee, and I like a darker roast. But over there, I was up for whatever they were going to give. And the first fika experience I had was actually the off day we were there was the Wednesday, because the team got in early Tuesday morning Swedish time. We practiced, kind of soldiered through that day. And then Wednesday was a day off. So I went over to the Old Town area, which highly recommend. It was just unbelievable to walk through the streets there. And I was kind of looking through, I was actually doing some shopping, trying to pick up some stuff for my family. And as I was kind of grazing through the streets, I saw a little coffee shop, and I was like, oh, I'm just going to snag a coffee and keep walking. And I walked in, and you would have thought that I said the most just repulsive thing to this barista there, because I asked for a coffee, and I asked him, like, I didn't know how to say to go. So I was like to go out there. And he's like, takeaway? I'm like, takeaway, sure. He's like, no, you fika. And I'm like, okay. Now, at this point, I had fikaed already the day before, because we were hanging out watching practice, and they had it all set up for us up there. So I was familiar with it, but I also didn't really understand why he was like kind of cornering me into fikaing. And he just said to me, he was like, look, what are you doing? This is probably 11:30 in the morning or whatever on Wednesday. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm just walking through. I've never been here before, checking it out, doing some shopping. He's like, the street is not going to move. You sit down, you fika, you have a
The,
pastry. And I was
the
like,
street
oh,
is not going to
okay.
move. I
Yeah,
love it.
and he's you know what he said? You know what he said? I have to say this because it's true. We're all guilty of it. He's like, Americans sometimes just want to go. Get your coffee, go. Get your coffee, go. Get on the next thing. He's like, stop. It's all gonna be there. Sit down, talk with me. You said you have nothing to do, right? I'm like, no, I quite literally have nothing to do. He's like, just talk. So I talked to this guy for like 20 minutes, gave me a cinnamon bun for free, but might I add. And if I could pronounce the name of the shop, I would and shout them out. But it started with a K. That's all I remember. Guy was really nice. Never got his name. The cinnamon bun was really good. He asked me a lot about Pittsburgh. He was really excited. He was cheering for the Penguins. I'm not sure if he was just saying that because I was in there, but I'll take him at his word. Huge Ricard Raquel fan and was sad that he was banged up. So we talked for a while about hockey in Sweden and how huge it is over there in the Swedish league. And after 20 minutes or so, I'd finished my coffee. I'd long finished the cinnamon bun. And he was like, look, nothing changed. Enjoy your shopping. I don't know. It was kind of like a good little reality check that it's there's times now, granted, our lives are not always that easy in the sense of having a free day and doing whatever I needed to do on my own time. But it was a little reminder to just kind of like stop and smell the roses, if you will. So thanks to that kind gentleman for doing that for me. But also that was my first Fika experience. And I did it 2 or 3 more times. I tried to do it on the game day, actually on Friday. I went and got lunch and sat at a little coffee shop to do like some last minute prep after the lunch. And I was not alone. I mean, we're talking, at that point, probably 3:00 local time in the afternoon. Because remember, that game Friday was 8 p.m. local in Stockholm. So it was a little bit for us, used to the 7:00 starts. The day felt a little bit longer. So I, got the coffee, did the Fika, and this coffee house was packed. And people were just in there at 3:00 on an afternoon, whatever. I guess it was a Friday. So maybe not that crazy when you think about it in that sense, but just totally crowded. People just, having conversation, nobody on their phones, full conversation, drinking their coffee. Oh, it was kind of cool to see. It was a little refreshing, throwback kind of. So count me as a huge fan of Fika. And I will say positive things about it for anybody who is ever considering doing it over there. It's worth, sacrificing, if you even want to call it that, the 20, 25 minutes, but it's awesome.
I know that I have a road trip coming up with you and the Penguins in December. So you and I are definitely going out for coffee. And when we step up to place our order, I'm going to look you and the person we speak to right in the face and go, "You Fika? You Fika?"
And they're going to go,
what they say.
And they're going to go, yeah, and they're going to go, we don't have that on the menu, sir. We have no idea what you're talking about. We got to find a Swedish coffee house, Dan. Yeah, right. You crazy man. What are you doing?
All right. So we've talked about all the fun that you had and some of the sights and sounds. Real quickly, what was your take on the 2 games? Obviously, Evgeni Malkin scoring a goal in both. Sergei Murashov getting a chance to play in a second game, getting a shutout. Those are probably 2 highlights. Were those the 2 biggest things that you take from what the Penguins were able to do, or is there something else that stands out about their 2 games?
I'll talk about Gino and Murashov first, but there is another thing that I did want to touch on as far as what stood out to me. But I think, what Gino's now, he's, I think, passed Dale Hawerchuk for 519 goals. He's 40th all time.
Yes.
So with the 2 goals this past global series, those were probably 2 of the weirder goals he scored of the 519, right? Like almost identical banks that were unintentional, but somehow look kind of intentional. And he just continues to chug along. I mean, I think it's 3 or 4 games out of the 19 the Penguins have played this year. He hasn't gotten a point, Dan. So it's not been one of those things where he's ripped off 2 or 3 5-point nights and been quiet otherwise. This is every single night for him. And it doesn't look like it's going to slow down. Sergei Murashov, to me, we were all excited, with him getting the recall. Phil Bork and I a couple weeks ago on Get Me The Brandy were talking about just the excitement of seeing him. We had to wait a little bit. We waited almost a week after his recall until he got in 2 Sundays ago against the LA Kings. And it was at home. There was a big buzz. I'm sure there was a little bit of nerves. I thought he played well. I thought the Penguins didn't particularly help him in the 3rd period of that game. And, they end up losing the game. Different story in game number 2 for him out in Europe and Sweden, because he was incredible. There were a couple saves he made in that game where you're going to see a 21 save shutout. And I think a lot of people, you know, Dan, how people are when they just look at numbers. Oh, 21 saves. He really wasn't tested that much. Sure, he didn't have the shot volume, but how about that kick save on Steven Stamkos on the power play on the one-timer?
Yeah.
I mean, he's made a Hall of Fame career out of that shot. Matthew Wood with a great seam pass from the Predators had another one-timer, and he moved post to post. That was in the third period, I believe. He was really, really solid for the Penguins just throughout. And I think the thing that I notice about him, and, you know, you've talked to him, I've talked to him, he's a different bird. No question about that. He just operates very, very differently. English is still being learned by him. So I think some of the stuff he says, it's Gino in a way, right? We laugh at how he says it, but I think he truly just doesn't know how to say certain things about how he's feeling yet. But he is so calm and so steady in there. And it dawned on me watching the game on Sunday. I was actually talking to Borky about it afterwards that I don't think the comparisons to Fleury are accurate. And I mean this lovingly to Flower, because when he would make saves, it was woo, 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 doo, 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 doo. Like, you know, he's kind of not frantic, but he was moving all over the place. Like his body was like the wacky flailing inflatable arm tube man at the used car station, sometimes making saves. Sergei Murashov is like clinical. It's like everything is very precise and not robotic, but every move is not wasted by him. It's just very, very straightforward movement. He's not the biggest guy. He wears really small pads, actually. I've noticed that the last couple games, especially when you got Artur Shilovs in there, too, who's massive and wears huge pads. But I think that he's been impressive. And we all knew he was going to be good. He's met those expectations, 2 games up, 2 games down, and we'll see where he goes from here. But I was really impressed on Sunday. But the thing that I did want to bring up that was the most impressive to me is continued to be what's the most impressive to me. And that is the other Dan in the Dan and Dan revitalized show, Dan Muse. The head coach of the Penguins, the pulse that this guy has for never having been a head coach in this league.
Yeah.
I appreciate that he's not set on things that he develops in his head game to game, and he's willing to move and work and adjust game to game, because that's been a flaw of the Penguins in recent years. And I think with what he's done here, you look at, so Friday, Ben Kindle for the first time to me looked like a rookie in that game. He looked like he was, you know, a little bit a step behind. I thought the Penguins overall as a team didn't play a good game. I don't want to single out Kindle. But what does Dan Muse do? He says, where did I get my best Ben Kindle? That was at third line center. Let me move him back down there. Who's been a guy that's been really, really productive and is winning a lot of puck battles and is heavy on the forecheck and can generate open ice for Sidney Crosby and Brian Rust? Connor Dewar. Let me throw him up there with Sidney Crosby and Brian Rust and just see how it goes. When was Evgeni Malkin's line the most effective? When he had Justin Brazeau on his left wing, the biggest guy available. Kevin Hayes, who's a very skilled winger when he bunts to play the wing, goes up there and moves into that slot with Gino and Anthony Mantha. And I thought they had their best game in a while there on Sunday. Defensively, Matt Dumba came in and was productive, but you could tell the Predators wanted to get a little extra chippy. So who does he bring in? Connor Clifton, who has zero problem hitting even his own teammates, as we saw sometimes by accident on Sunday. He's throwing his body all over the place. So I think the adjustments that he made, and also to go to Murashov after Artur Shilovs played really, really well, and maybe there was the thought of we don't have to do a rotation just because we've done one all year. Shilovs could go back and potentially win this game for us. He continues to just trust his gut and make these moves, and there's going to be a time where they're not going to work. But to see the adjustments made Friday to Sunday and to see how the team responded, I mean, they came out in the first period. The game was over. I know that there was, 11 minutes left in the first when they went up 3-0, but being in that building and watching the Predators bench, they were zapped. Like they were, they were going to push. They were going to have some kind of push. They're proud guys. It's the NHL. Everyone's a good player. But they were rattled with how the Penguins came out and just completely dominated the first half of the first period. And, it evened out as the game went on, but I thought they were in control throughout in that contest. Murashov was a big part of that. But even with the 4 penalties against to none having had as far as power plays. I thought they were the better team. And I think a lot of that goes back to Dan Muse making the necessary adjustments.
Real quickly, before we move on, I did want to touch on Sergei Murashov, and I love the way you broke down how he moves.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well done by you. But one thing that sticks out.
That's the best vocal description I've ever given as a play-by-play guy, Dan.
I'm telling you, you should have like a Nat sound mic hanging over your head so you can always pick up those little machine-like noises. Real quick, and I know you've seen this image, but it's just something I can't get out of my head. It was from Sergei's first game. I think it was during a TV timeout, and our cameras caught this tight ISO of him. And he's got his helmet up, and he's just kind of looking up into the stars, and he smiles. And then he takes a little splash of water, and his mask is up, and he just goes, ah. And it's like just this moment of like, where is this guy? Like, he's having fun. He's 21 years old. He's playing in his first NHL game. He's getting a breather in a TV timeout, and he just like smiles up and just goes, ah. It just to me, I think I can't say it defines him, but I can't wait to turn the page and find out what's next with this kid. I really can't.
Well, how about his honesty after the game? He gets presented, which was a nice, unique twist there in Sweden with the player of the game watch for the first time. Yeah. And they ask him about it. He goes, I don't know. I don't wear watches. It's like every time there's another layer for him to expose his funky personality, quirky, I guess you could say. He does. And that's the biggest change, right, with this team, Dan? Yep. I mean, Ben Kindle's not necessarily a personality that pops off the charts, but he's that youthful enthusiasm and brings that fresh blood. Murashov is that personality. And you have these new kind of feelings and people in this dressing room. And I think it goes a long way towards the overall team's success. And hey, listen, I mean, I know we'll talk about it as we go along here, but everyone wants to always say, what's the goal of the Penguins this year? Well, as you and I sit here right now, you got Buffalo Wednesday, you got a back-to-back this weekend. Or excuse me, not Buffalo Wednesday, Buffalo next Wednesday. You got a back-to-back this weekend. That's all that lingers between now and the Thanksgiving break. And that cutoff is traditionally who is in and who is out. So they're right in the mix. And these young kids are a big reason why it's been fun.
So you talked about the not too distant future. The Penguins have spent a lot of time playing away from home, but 9 of their next 13 right here in the 4-1-2. Now, I know that's good for you, being a father of 2 and getting a chance to hang out at home. But it's important for the team as well, because things are different when your body's in the same time zone with your family. It's an opportunity to really gather some points.
It is. And I would have to think, like, Penguins fans say what you want about everybody this summer. And we all knew, nobody really knew what to expect. I don't think the expectations for the group were particularly high from the outside. But with what they've been able to do and how they just responded in Sweden to come home, play a back-to-back this weekend, you'd have to expect the building will have some jump. It's a Friday night. It's a Saturday night. It's going to be a great atmosphere in there. And I would think the Penguins would respond accordingly. And you're right. This is a stretch personally that I've had circled, because I know we're home through up until Thanksgiving night before going to Columbus. But to have this stretch at home with all the travel and to only be worrying about, okay, I'm back home. Like you said, the stuff that can become a little, I don't want to say inconvenient, but can become a lot when you're home for too long and during the season from a player perspective, just as far as managing your body. You've already had these big team building moments. We were on the road for a week plus out in Cali in the beginning of the year. We were on the road through that trip through Mini Winnie in Toronto and Philadelphia a couple weeks ago. So there's already been some monster trips for this team, and Sweden being the latest. And you mentioned a lot of road games. I think it was going into the Sweden trip, we had played 17 games, which at that time was tied for the most in the NHL. Now, granted, we're now in a span here where this mini and Seattle game are the 2 games in 12 days that you're playing on either side of the Sweden trip. So you're kind of in neutral while a lot of the teams around you are playing hockey games, catching up and doing, whatever. But you took advantage of the games that you had. And now you're going to have an opportunity to really rest, recover. And I do wonder, Dan, I'm not saying anybody's going to come back from injury, but hey, you're back home now. Some of these timelines, you were looking around, maybe Thanksgiving, maybe the week after Thanksgiving, but
Yep.
a 5-day stretch here before you play another game, and then Sundays off, Mondays off, Tuesdays off, then you play again Wednesday. I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that we might see a fresh face, whether it's a recall from Wilkes-Barre, Rucker McGroarty looks pretty good, or if it's anything else from that nature of guys coming up and playing for this team. I wouldn't be surprised. I think this could bode well for the overall health for this team and just the mental health of being home and having some family time on top of everything else.
There you go with the sound effects again. Well done. As we
Yeah,
get
that was
into
a
the last segment
sound
here,
effect, clear throat.
yeah, well, hey, you didn't have to really cough, did you? It sounded pretty real to me. Once again, we're taking a look back at the 10-year anniversary of the 15-16 Stanley Cup championship season for the Penguins. And Evgeni Malkin, in this week, back then scored 4 points, including his 100th power play goal in a victory over the Minnesota Wild. Became the 4th player in Penguins history to reach that mark, joining Lemieux, Yager, and Stevens. Crosby has also joined that list as well. But first of all, if we can quickly touch on what he continues to do to start the season and kind of segue into what the power play unit continues to do successfully for the season and how, I don't know, makes you wonder if you had to build your all-time Penguins power play unit. I know I'm throwing a lot at you, but I'm curious to know what that would be. Well, let's start with Evgeni Malkin and the start he continues to have, because I know he's getting older, but he's still scoring. I'm score.
He is score. He will be fire, Dan, and he is fire. Evgeni, I still don't know why that shirt didn't get more traction. Like, to me, that was like, I know the bingo meme is still popular all these years later after your iconic holiday video that you starred in, as I believe Kevin's mom, which you did a great job in, right?
Thanks.
Am I correct on that? Yeah.
Yeah. It's, I don't know. I've had so many roles, like they all just go together. I think. Yeah.
Okay, fair. Well, hey, I mean, the I am fire, by the way, that needs to come back. That was awesome.
Yeah.
And I thought that was hilarious. I remember that day with the fire alarm going off in Jersey, and he said that. But anyway, to answer your question, he's been, in my opinion, the most consistent player on this team this year. And that's saying something, because we remember how last year started, right? He came out like a house on fire. He got that 500th goal. You could tell he wanted it so bad. And then there was a pretty big dip. And quite honestly, not Gino-like style of play for a long stretch there. But he looks motivated. He looks healthy. He looks younger. I've always thought, I don't know how you feel about him, and I'm sure a lot of people who have seen him out of uniform would say this and agree. He looks so much leaner when he's not in uniform. Like, he's kind of like a tall, slender guy. But then when you see him in his gear, he's like a bull. With how he looks out there, and he plays that way. So I think that this line, having Anthony Mantha, who's also had a magnificent start to the year, I think has been really helpful for him. The power play, obviously, as you mentioned, has been electric, and that's going to get anybody's points up just from the production standpoint. So I don't. Everyone asks, is it sustainable? I mean, what has Gino shown you this year that gives you reason to think it's not sustainable? That's the other way that I'd look at it. And I mentioned that, whatever 14 of the 19 or 15 of the 19 games, he has a point. That's pretty sustainable to me as far as just giving a complete and total effort every single night. So you're hitting the quarter mark of the season, and he's still humming along, and he's had some time now for his body to rest and recuperate going into this back-to-back. So I still expect him to be a difference maker every single night for the Penguins. But to talk about the power play, so you want me to build my all-time Penguins power play? Cool.
If you have a couple names that come to mind, I know it may be hard. I don't know.
It's okay. So I'm going to go with this as I'm trying to think if I would want to do a box plus one here, or if I would want to do.
Okay, coach, setup. Ease up. Just give me some names. I don't need you going.
Here you go.
Full diagram.
We're going to draw the diagram right here. We're gonna draw the half circle
We
diagram.
apologize
Okay,
to
here's
everyone at
the
home.
crease.
Coach Getzoff.
Yeah, I'm trying. I mean, that's why they've never let me do this, because we have a top power play right now, and it would be, there's another sound effect for you if I was in charge. Anyway, here's what we got. Net front presence, Kevin Stevens. Give me Big Artie, the power forward in there. No one would knock him off the puck, and he would be in front of the goalie. His rear end would be blocking that goalie's view every single game. I think he's perfect. On the points, this is where it gets tricky. I'm going to make a controversial pick here, but I'm picking it in the sense of what he did on the power play. Sergei Gonchar. Because Sergei Gonchar, when he was on the power play in Pittsburgh, was a menace, because he would just let that slap shot go. He'd get teed up on his back foot by Evgeni Malkin all the time and just would wire it. It was consistent. So I think if you have Stevens in front, if you have Gonchar as your trigger man, if you put, this is where it gets tricky. I'm going to go with the Russian to Russian, because I think that's important for communication. Gino's going to still stay out there on that power play to feed Gonch. Oh boy. Now I've put myself in a situation where one of the three greatest players in this franchise's history is not going to be on the power play.
Well, too bad,
See,
Coach.
this is why I can't be a coach. Okay. I'm going to get killed for this. Sidney Crosby's going to win every puck battle below the goal line, so he's my other guy out there. And Mario is going to be the difference maker, to just be a galloping gazelle and make things happen. So I'm going Mario, Sid, Kevin Stevens, Gino, Gonch. That's my power play. Sorry, Yogs. Sorry. That's the one guy I have to leave off. And I do realize people are going to probably look up his power play numbers, which I'm familiar with, because I remember we did it with his jersey retirement, and I will eat that one. But I'm going to keep him off my 5. But how about this? If there's a delay penalty and the 5-on-4 is about to become a 5-on-3, my first guy off the bench is Jaromir Jagr. How about that? There you go.
That's fair. So I'm pretty much with you on this list. I would like to try to find some space, if you will, for 68, because Yags was just that kind of guy. Yeah. But out in front, Kevin Stevens, great choice. But give me Patrick Hornquist as well. Absolute menace in the blue paint. I don't know if Artie was much of a talker, but I Patrick Hornquist, he could be the most soft-spoken, nice guy in the world, but down there, he was just an absolute menace. So I may have a couple tweaks, but I think for the most part, you and I are on the same page.
Yeah, it's hard to argue against Horny. The other thing about him was, how many times, Dan, were the Penguins in those situations where maybe they didn't have their A game and they seemed a little sluggish, and he would just jump in after a whistle and get everyone engaged in the game. That was one of his great strengths.
Yeah, I agree. And one of your great strengths, sound effects, in addition to calling play-by-play.
I do what I can. Whoa, nice one, Dan. That was a good one.
Yeah, how about that? Hey, that's another episode of Get Me The Brandy in the books. Josh, well done, my friend. I'll see you at practice this week. And our special thanks to Will Horcoff for joining us from Michigan. A great kid. I enjoyed the talk. We'll do it again soon. All right, buddy?
Yeah, looking forward to it, Dan. Always fun being on this podcast with you, and we'll see you at the rink.
Okay. That'll do it for this week's edition of Get Me The Brandy.